If you were trying to make the choice between DITING and Victor, I'm going to make that much easier for you. I built DITING and I would recommend that to everybody. So why would I recommend DITING over Victor, which wasn't exactly the script that I was selling you guys originally? Well, there was a few things that changed that I don't think really anyone expected. The first thing was, of course, the buff to the thresholds. These got really giga buffs, specifically Terramaton. First, there was obviously the changes with the nerfs to Marvel, but there was also the turn meter reduction added, making it just doubly bad. And on top of this, they made him tankier and deal more damage and faster, which is not exactly great. So that changed our plans a little bit, and now you need a little bit more damage, and DITING is, well, if you need damage, DITING is damage. So how does he work, and why do you want to build him, and how do you build him? So his S2 pretty much will mark the enemy with the lowest HP percent, so you're going to want to pair him with something like Chloros is my choice for a good single target DPS unit. Then with that mark, he will also get additional crit rate when he attacks them, and any excess crit rate will be increased by, when you max this out, which you definitely will want to, by 1.5%, which is really nice. In this case, you can see I have 70% crit rate. I'll gain 60 against the enemy that I hit. That gives me 30 excess crit rate. You times that by 1.5, you get 45 extra crit damage, and then that's going to be moved over here. So technically I have 145 plus 45, which is 190 crit damage. The max cap on crit damage is 200, well, plus 200. So just make sure to do the math to figure out if you're hitting the cap or not. Try to get as close to the cap as you can, and by using the right cap, you can then use the rest into attack, and this is how you can maximize him. So you can see he has 3.7k attack. If I were able to roll a gold, or specifically the red attack percentage, then I could probably get him up to about 4k. Additionally, I don't have the right sets, but yeah, you could very easily get him to 4k attack and also have max crit rate and crit damage. You can tell very quickly that he's going to start nuking some things. His S3 is a 450% damage multiplier, and it's just a massive nuke, like right off the bat. And it's one single attack, which is actually really, really important to keep in mind when we get into how we're going to build him. On top of that, if you max him out, or at least get his skill up to level 4, he will get to have his chance of a follow-up attack when he attacks a enemy unit that's marked, and this will trigger his S1, which you only need to get up to level 4 as well. And what this will do is it's just another big 260% damage multiplier hit. So DITING is just short for damage. In terms of the shell, you're going to want to definitely use White Fang. This thing hits like a truck into the enemy, and if you crit, the shell will crit, and that's really, really nice. It shares the same stats when you're attacking, so you're going to get a huge double hit with the White Fang. This also stacks really well if you're going to partner him with someone like Chloros. For the set, pretty much anything is useful for it, as long as you get a good combination. In this case, I have a 3-2. That's just because I can't really hit a second set right now, but if you can hit a second set, getting like a 3-3 is really nice, and if you can happen to get something like Keen Eye, Onslaught, or Onslaught and like Momentum, like these type of combinations, as long as you can get the gear for it, going for like a 12-12 is going to be your best bet for maximizing your stats early on when we enter the late game. Once you get to Inferno Plus, we don't actually know how difficult those will be because they could have also buffed those. Then we can actually start to build those sets that are more like 12-8-6. In my case, I ended up spending my module shop tokens on Keen Eye, and I think that that was a really good lucky investment on my part because I got some really insane pieces here, and this allowed me to build a really powerful Keen Eye version of him. Now, Keen Eye is probably his best in slot set if you can happen to get it. If you can't, it's okay to just go with like a 12 onslaught and then like an 8 harvest as well. But Keen Eye, how it works is the first big instance of attack will be increased by 25%. This is the biggest, just straight up outside of like momentum. Like this is just an unconditional 25% damage bonus to his S3, which is crazy. And then his follow-up attack will be increased by 15%. And then he'll also get one more attack later on that's 5%. Really try to fit whatever you best can get in there that matches up with your Shell's Matrix combination. In terms of his partners, there's quite a few partners that work really well with DITING. Like I said, any single target DPS is really good with him. Chloros is one of his better partners because he also can work really well with White Fang because of the Doom toll on his S3, which wants you to deal a bunch of different instances of damage. In DITING's sense, he provides 4 because he has his S3, his S1, and then he also has White Fang, which is 2. And then if you have 2 from Chloros, that's going to mean that you just need 4 extra hits. There's a lot of different characters that you can use to combine that 4 extra hits. Later on, when you're going for speedruns, Dinah is 4 by herself because of her ultimate and all of that. So that's also a really powerful combo you can do. He also pairs really well if you decide to max out his S3 for the -1 cooldown. He goes down to 3, and once you hit 3 cooldown, you can combine him with Lily, who is going to be able to reset him. So you don't actually need to have any of this skill up here, which is usually one of the more expensive parts of making Lily work. But because she's only going to have 3 cooldown for DITING, what you can do is Lily is going to be able to S3 and immediately it will be back up. And then Lily also has her S2, which can be a nice speed up to your team and also extra crit damage. Now it is 50% crit damage, so you'll probably want to go with like double attack and not really have any crit damage at all on your Dating, just because you're going to overcap very quickly. But the Lily is really nice because doing 3 big nukes on him is really nice. Now, if you are going for that route, Kenai probably isn't the best set for him. It's probably better to just go raw stats. We're talking like Onslaught plus Momentum, stuff like that, or Onslaught plus Fury Edge, because you'll be critting, so getting that extra damage percentage on the Fury set will be very, very helpful as well. So the main goal with Dating is to build him for as much damage as possible and pair him up with units that are going to be able to consistently allow his AI to work the way that you want it to, and also potentially get him to just spam out his S3 nonstop. Right now, a lot of people are using him not just in Termaton, but they're also utilizing him to clear a lot of the floors in Embertrack. Now, you're going to see a lot of Messiah abusers on here, but you're also going to see a lot of people utilizing Dating, like Ult Chad here, who's one of my guildmates, who got up to the very last floor. The only person who's been able to clear any further than the normal final floor with the Pate is this guy, but he has probably the best Messiah in the world right now, so that's the only reason why he's able to go as far as he did, and he invested everything into it. But in terms of like Dating, you can see that he is definitely able to be up here. We see Samba as well and many other people. And I haven't even tried yet, but I pretty much know for sure that I can probably get up to where they are if I sit down and actually grind it out. So that's what we'll definitely want to do. He also helped me beat Karuru, which gave me a lattice. And to be honest, the only thing that's really stopping me is my supports are just not tanky enough right now to survive Vengas. But you're going to see a lot of people utilizing Dating as well as Messiah going into these later stages. That's probably one of his biggest weaknesses, but once you get through like the tank checks, like Vengas, and you get to these more tanky stages, this is where he shines as a good tank buster. So that's one of the great things about him. Also, when we get the GVG mode, he is probably going to be good because we know that GVG is going to have some sort of 3v3 mechanic in it. This is going to be really good for Dating because he is really good at sniping down a single unit. So turning it into a 3v3 versus a 2v2, that's a big gap compared to turning a 4v4 into a 3v4 because you can still win 3v4s. Overall, I would say that Dating is probably the safest character to build in this entire game. And if I were to go back in time, I would say that I would be shilling him from the start. And I would have probably built him a lot sooner than I did because I'm going to be honest, one of the reasons why I was kind of falling behind is I didn't have Dating. He just helps so much with all these buff stages that are happening right now for PvE. To be honest, he's just better than Victor. So I was wrong. So in the end, you should definitely build Dating. I think he's a character that I would expect that everyone will want on their account, and he is worth every single penny in investment. Definitely check him out, and hopefully you can enjoy the Dating supremacy with me. See you all next time. Bye.